Hey guys, CrossFit Cyclist here. This week we're going to be doing another time trial. Last week you probably saw me do what not to do in a time trial. So this week hopefully we'll have things go a little bit better. Still, even with all the mistakes, last week ended up in second place. Looked like I got the second fastest time, which was pretty great. Super happy with that. We're going to be hopping back on the CAD 12 here this week. This one's going to be an uphill time trial, so it's all climbing. Depending on the gradient, that kind of suits my riding style, but sometimes maybe not suits my riding style. Looks like average 4% gradient. So let's get out there and get to it. Hey guys, so today we are going to be doing the Roger Canyon climb. So this is another time trial put on by LaramieBike Net. This one's a little different, quite a bit further out of town. It's about a 10-mile ride to the start for me from where I live. Very short uphill time trial though. Time trial is only about 3 miles long, which is very, very short. Time is about 11 minutes. The climb today is about an average 4% gradient. So nothing super steep. Just enough to make it hurt though. For this ride in particular, I'm going to focus on really getting a good warm-up in. With it being so short and all uphill, I just don't want my heart rate to do what it did last time, which is, you know, I was excited, went hard off the gun, and then, you know, my heart rate is spiking and ping-ponging all over the place the whole time, and I have to back off to end up kind of catching my breath and getting caught back up again. So getting warmed up in these 10 miles leading in, just doing some intervals and some sprints a little bit just to get my body acclimated, and then I should be good to go. You might notice it's a little hazy out today. There's a big fire burning in Colorado right now called the Cameron Peak Fire. I believe it's up over 15,000 acres right now, and not so far south of Laramie, burning in the Poudre Canyon. Start line for today, a little prettier than last time. So we're gonna be going 3 miles up. You can hear I'm actually coughing a little bit just from the smoke and everything that's out. The air quality's not terrible. I wouldn't be riding if I thought I was gonna be out hurting myself. But I'm ready to get it going. Let's do it.
You're listening to Redneck.
Hey guys, welcome to another episode of CrossFit Cyclist. This week we've got another grassroots time trial. This one is called the Roger Canyon Climb, put on by LaramieBike Net, which is the same folks that did the Soldier Springs time trial that I did the previous video for. This is one of, I believe, 3 rotating routes that they do for this time trial series. This one, like I said before, is all uphill. Actually, this opening section here is really one of the only flat sections of the entire course. You'll see up here I actually get a slight downhill and can maintain some pretty good speed. Right now hitting about 28 miles an hour. As we go further and further up, we get deeper and deeper into the canyon, and this time trial has an average gradient of about 4%. Obviously, you guys can see right now we're ramping up, so right there, 3 to 4% gradient as we start getting into the canyon. Compared to the previous time trial, hopefully this is a little nicer to look at for everyone. Just a little bit prettier scenery. I actually had never ridden up in Roger Canyon prior to this time trial, but it's a great road ride. I actually saw a lot of people coming out of the canyon and also a lot of people going up the canyon as I was making my way in. So with a uphill time trial like this, like I said before, I tried to get a really strong warm-up in just to make sure that my system was primed to do this kind of effort across, very, very short period of time, only about 3 miles. I consider myself much more of a sprinter, so sometimes these types of shorter efforts can actually suit my riding style a little bit better. I felt great during this time trial. Obviously, the previous race video was the things not to do in a time trial. In this one, we pretty much avoided any of the silly mistakes that we saw in the previous week. Really, with something like this, when the distance is this short, I'm really out to just empty the tank. And so this, compared to, in some ways, a longer time trial, can be more difficult for me personally to pace, because I know, hey, I'm expecting this only to take me about 11 minutes. What kind of effort can I pretty much empty the tank with in 11 minutes? So you can see my heart rate here. I'm up at about 181 beats per minute. That's final laps of a criterium heart rate for me. One of the things that caught me off guard a little bit in this was 2 of the steeper sections of this course. So having an average 4% gradient, coming into this, obviously I was a little unfamiliar with the terrain, having never ridden up here. So you can see here the profile actually spiking up to about 10%. Coming up is the steepest hill of the climb. That actually spikes up to about 12% gradient. So skipping ahead here, we are at the steepest section of the course. I will say one of the mistakes that I made during this time trial was on that steep section of the course. So, getting into this point, I'm almost at about the halfway point. And this is really when you start seeing red. You can also see from the elevation, just in these 3 miles, I gain a little over 500 feet of elevation. So we started down at about 7,500, and when I get to the summit of this climb, we'll be at about 8,100 feet above sea level. So obviously oxygen's thinner up here, and when you're getting to this halfway point, you're hurting and your brain is not working as well as it should. If I could go back and do one thing differently on this climb in particular, it would be staying in the big ring and getting out of the saddle on that climb. I was in the big ring on that climb. I was digging in, but if I had just given a few hard pedal strokes out of the saddle, I really feel like I could have maintained some more momentum. That short little 12% gradient wouldn't have gassed me as much. And as we can see here, as I get into kind of another 5% gradient section right here, I'm cooked. We're dipping down to 9-10 miles an hour. My heart rate is still at 180 beats per minute. And we're closing in on about the 8 or 9 minute mark. So I'm hurt. I'm slowing down. I'm also wondering, this is when doubt can start creeping into your mind. You're wondering, when is this going to end? How much longer is this climb going for? This course in particular as well had just a much more straightforward start and finish. So really any of the mistakes that I made the other week with, missing turns, missing a turnaround or blowing a turnaround, anything like that, was pretty much put to rest on this course. If you guys actually look at my head unit, I have my lap distance as my unit of measurement down at my lowest data field, and at this point my eyes were just absolutely trained on that. I know that I needed to go about 3.1 miles. I believe the exact distance was actually 3.06 miles. So I knew, hey, if I pushed out to 3.1 miles, I 100% captured the segment, and know that I've completed the distance on the course. So at this point, I'm just completely focused in, dialed in. You can see I'm going up a 4% gradient here, and I'm just down to 9 miles per hour. I had just absolutely cooked myself, and like I said, if I had a better shot at, put out some more effort earlier on in that one steep section to just maintain my momentum. I did stay in the big ring, but at this point I'm down into the small ring, or here shortly I'm going to shift down into the small ring. I feel like I would have just had a little more mental fortitude to just hammer it out in the big ring, probably maintain a couple more miles per hour average across this. I think the time I ended up with was about 13 minutes and 40 seconds. So about 2 minutes off of the KOM pace. As far as results for this particular time trial and just everyone who competed, I do not know where I stacked up just yet. I haven't seen those results come out. But my guess from the previous times in the summer and spring is that I probably am going to shake out around second or third again on this effort. It was a great effort. Beautiful climb. You guys can see it's an incredibly quiet road back here. I haven't been passed by a single car. I haven't seen a single car coming the other direction either. I'm just going to let you guys check out the rest of this time trial, and then we can get to the fun part, which is the descent.
That was tough. Did not expect for there to be a couple 12-13% grade sections in there that you just had to just punch through. One of them I ended up getting out of the saddle, and that really did it. That really hurt me on that one. Overall, went well though. I mean, I was shooting for an 11 to 12 minute time. That was 13:40. I was just feeling absolutely gassed. By the time I got to about mile 2, I just really had to slow down. Beautiful ride up here though. Definitely reminds me a lot of Happy Jack where I mountain bike quite a bit. Well, now that's done, here comes the fun part. Let's go down. Hey Jared, aren't you kind of forgetting something this week? Thanks Sergey, thanks for reminding me. So I wanted to shout out a couple different people this week. One of them is Bike Sports back in Fort Collins, Colorado. So this is a company that's run by Zach and Whitney Allison. They are both professional road and sometimes gravel racers. They put on gravel camps all throughout the spring and summer in Colorado. That fire that I was telling you guys about earlier actually canceled one of their big camps this year. But know that they'd always appreciate your guys' support on social media, on their YouTube channel, that kind of stuff. They're two of the people that got me really into competitive cycling and got me to take some of my training a little more seriously. So I know they'd really appreciate your support. The other people are Eliel. And I was able to get this kit from Eliel. It's one of my favorite kits that I've ever owned. The folks at Eliel have just been awesome throughout this entire pandemic. They have continued sponsoring tons of athletes, Zach and Whitney included, as well as myself for today's video. So we appreciate them tremendously. Eliel has asked me to write a blog post for them, just talking about really what cycling means to me, what I've been doing throughout COVID in this pandemic. I'd appreciate anyone who's watching this video, go give it a read. Like I said, they're incredibly strong supporters of all their athletes and just the cycling community in general throughout all this. Obviously, it's been a tough time where no one's been able to compete. So I know that to me, it means a lot when they're coming and asking pretty mediocre cyclists like myself to, share what the sport has done for me and, what it means to me.